Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be testing out and reviewing the new Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Concealer and the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powder. I grabbed them both in order to test them out together and see how they work together. So we'll start off with the concealer. It retails for $26 US and it comes in, get this, 50 different shades. 50 different concealer shades, which is unheard of. When the Pro Filter foundation was first introduced to us, it was introduced in 40 different shades, which was just insane at the time. Now it comes in 50. They've recently added 50 to this, and that's why they also launched 50 concealer shades. Now, from my understanding, based on everything that I've read so far about the concealers are meant to go with your foundation. So for example, I am 240 in the foundation, so I should have grabbed 240 in the concealer because they're meant to match, like complement one another, the shades are. When I saw 240 in the concealer, I just thought it was a tiny bit too deep and I wanted something a little bit lighter, which is why I actually grabbed 235. Which you can do. So it doesn't mean that just because I'm 240 in this, I have to have 240 in this. Definitely not what it means. It's just kind of like a guideline, you know, it's just something for you to go based off of, something to make it easy for everyone. Same with the setting powder. So depending on what your number is for this, then you're going to grab a setting powder that is meant for that number. I was supposed to grab banana for the Pro Filter powder, but I actually ended up grabbing butter instead. I just felt like anything that's banana, like yellow tone powders, when I apply them on top of my concealer, they just look way too yellow, and I didn't want to run into that situation, and so I grabbed the one that is, you know, the next one up, which is butter. So now back to the concealer. This is a creamy, long wear, crease proof, wears light as air formula, which I am super excited about. It is a medium to full coverage concealer that is going to brighten the under eye area as well as cover up any redness or blemishes. Now this does claim to leave you with a soft matte finish. That is what this formula is going to provide. So I'm not really sure whether or not I'm going to set it at the moment. I'm going to see what it looks like underneath the eyes, and then depending on whether or not it's settling into any fine lines, I will choose to set it at that point. As far as how to best use the concealer, it does state that a little does go a long way, to start off with a thin layer and then to build up from there. And you can choose to either blend this out with a brush or a sponge. I personally like to blend out my under eye area with a damp beauty sponge. I'm going to be using the usual, which is my 3D HD blender. Now the powder is described as being a super fine, weightless, loose setting powder that is going to extend your makeup wear, and it's also going to provide you with a filtered, photo-ready look. It is going to help you reduce shine. It's also going to help blur out any pores, any fine lines, and the best part is that it does not give any flashback. So let's try everything together now. I am going to simply jump off camera really quickly in order to apply my 240 Pro Filtered foundation onto the entire face. And I'm also going to be color correcting the right under eye area just a little bit. I want to see what kind of coverage I am able to achieve with a color corrector as opposed to without a color corrector. So I'm simply going to jump off camera, take care of that, and I will be right back in order to conceal. Okay, so now I am back with foundation on the entire face. I've color corrected the right under eye area. Very little though. I didn't go too heavy with the color corrector. I'm using my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector in the shade medium to deep on this side. On the left side, I didn't color correct. However, I figured based on the information that was provided about the concealer, it is supposed to work with the foundation. And so I decided to just apply a little bit of foundation underneath this left side, which I typically don't do, but I figured I have them both. They're meant to work together. Why not? So now let's grab this concealer. This has a shelf life of 12 months and you get 0.27 ounces worth of product. So you don't necessarily have to worry about replacing it right away. You have an entire year to use it all up. It comes with a doe foot applicator that's like flat on both sides, which I love. I love these types of applicators. I'm going to start off with a little bit because a little goes a long way, and we're supposed to start off with a thin layer and build up if we need to after that. So just there to begin with. I'm going to take my damp HD, my 3D HD, and blend it out. So far I love the way that this is blending out. It is creamy, but it's not thick. There are certain concealers that are very, very creamy and therefore very, very thick, and they're kind of hard to work with, and you kind of just know that they're going to settle in between your fine lines and they're going to look just very, very heavy. This one, not one of those concealers. All right, so they're completely right. A little does go a long way, but I am going to need to build it up just a tad down here. Now moving on to this left side. All right, so there's one layer, medium coverage for sure with just a little bit. Now let's try to build it up a little bit and see what we get. Gonna mainly focus down here. Just a little bit like that. That did help out quite a bit. Oh yeah, much better with a second layer. So I wasn't going to set it, but I can see that it's starting to settle just a tiny, tiny bit, just very, very little. So I think I am going to set it very, very, very little. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of the butter setting powder, which I'm super excited to use. This too has a shelf life of 12 months, and you get 0.98 ounces worth of product, which is quite a bit. I love the packaging, very luxury, very unique. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of this powder, just a tiny bit, like I would my RCMA, my typical setting powder. Grabs quite a bit, which is why I'm going to just shake off the excess. And I'm actually going to tap it onto the back of my hand to take some of that off, because I want it to leave me with very, very minimal amount. Since it is a soft matte formula, I don't want to make it too dry, because it's not going to look great, or it's not going to look good at all throughout the rest of the day. So I'm going to take this. I love the way that that smells. It is fragranced, so keep that in mind. I know that some people are sensitive to smells. This definitely fragranced. All right, now I'm going to set the other side. All right, and now for the rest of the face, I can actually set with a brush. I tend to get a little oily here along the T-zone, so I'm definitely going to set the T-zone. Although with this foundation, I really don't get that oily. So the packaging can get a little messy, but they do include this like lid that you can place on top of your powder right there. That way it keeps everything in one place without it going all over the place. All right, so I like the powder. I really, really enjoy the fragrance in the powder. I do feel like perhaps it did help blur out my pores here a little bit. That's not a main concern of mine though. So if the product description hadn't mentioned it, I probably wouldn't have noticed. So there's that. As for the concealer, I feel like I'm getting really, really nice coverage, and we didn't need a whole lot of product. So that is definitely a plus. I didn't have to set it with a whole lot of powder. I barely set it with anything, and it's not settling into my fine lines. It doesn't look excessively dry right now. Everything is looking pretty good. So now I'm going to zoom you all in so that you can get a better look at the under eye area after initial application. All right, so this is what the under eye area currently looks like, and I like the coverage that I'm getting. I like the fact that the concealer doesn't look super, super heavy underneath the eyes, and that it is concealing quite well on both sides. Okay, so now that you've seen the under eye area, I'm going to jump off camera once more in order to finish off the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. Okay, so now I am back with a full face of makeup, and so far, so good. I'm still liking everything. I'm liking what the under eye area is currently doing, what the foundation is doing, what the powder is doing. Just everything looks really, really good as of right now. It is currently 10:51 in the morning. I do plan on wearing this the entire day, and I am going to be coming back halfway through the day in order to show you all some close-ups and to talk to you all a little bit about how the products have been wearing up to that point. So I will see you all back here in a few hours for my midday check-in. Okay, so now I'm back for my midday check-in. It is currently 3:33, so I've had these products on now for almost 5 hours. Yes, almost 5 hours. Now, before I get into my midday thoughts, I'm going to zoom y'all in so that you can get a better look at the under eye area after almost 5 hours of wear. All right, so this is what the under eye area currently looks like. I think I prefer the concealer with the powder on top of the color corrector over here. To me, it just looks a bit smoother than the side that I did not color correct. Over here, it just looks a little bit more dry than this side. Other than that though, I feel like I'm getting similar coverage out of both sides. So the coverage doesn't change with or without a corrector. However, I do prefer it with just because it looks a bit smoother than without. So that is all that I have for my midday check-in. I will see you all back here at the end of the night for my final thoughts on these two new Fenty Beauty products. Okay, so now I am back for my final check-in. It is currently 8:07. So I've had these products on now for about 9 hours? 9 hours, just barely over 9 hours. Now, before I give you my thoughts on these two new products, I'm going to zoom y'all in one last time so that you can get a better look at the under eye area after 9 hours of wear. Okay, so this is what the under eye area currently looks like, and not bad for a 9-hour day. I do feel like it still looks similar to my midday check-in. From what I can remember, it still looks the same, so not bad. All right, so that is the current situation underneath the eyes, and I like it. I like the way that it wore. I like how it looks pretty smooth, especially on this side. Pretty smooth, not completely smooth, obviously. I have fine lines that are just going to be there regardless of what products I apply. But some products definitely accentuate those lines, make them look worse at times. This did not do that whatsoever, especially on this side. It still feels pretty smooth underneath the eye area. Very, very lightweight. Doesn't feel heavy whatsoever. My only issue with this side that I didn't color correct is that it does look a little bit more dry than this side. However, it wore well, and I feel like I got similar coverage on both sides. Overall, I don't feel like my dark circles are completely concealed, but it's very rare when I find a product that completely conceals my dark circles to where you cannot see through it at all. This did a good job considering the amount of product that I applied at the beginning of the day. So it was not a lot of product that I used to begin with, and it did a really good job at concealing. It builds up nicely. I perhaps could have done a third layer to try to get even more coverage, but I didn't want to run into having it look too heavy or just overdoing it and then just kind of ruining the review day because it was just going to look like too much. This is going to give you more of that like just brightening of the under eye area and just kind of trying to like tone down those dark circles. It's not going to completely conceal them, but it is going to hide them to where it looks nice. It doesn't look overly done. Yeah, you can kind of still see them peeking through, but to me, that's not a big deal. I am more so looking for the way that it wears. Now, if it wears poorly and it's not really concealing, then there's no point, to that product. But this one, it wore nicely. I like the amount of coverage that I did achieve from this, that I was able to achieve from this. However, I think I might do a third layer next time, like maybe just 3 light layers instead of 2 light layers, and we'll see what we get with that. But overall, I'm happy with my purchase. I really enjoyed this powder more than I thought that I would because I was kind of hearing things. I try not to watch videos of reviews prior to me reviewing the products because I don't want to like alter my opinion or go into a review with some like preset expectations based on reviews that I've already seen. So I try not to watch anything, but I do follow them on Instagram. And some of the comments were comparing this to like the Laura Mercier powder, the setting powder, which is not my favorite at all. It just, for me personally, it makes my under eye just look so dry, like the Sahara Desert dry, like excessively dry. And I cannot. It ages me. It really does age my under eye area. So I don't particularly like the Laura Mercier setting powder. That's why I was kind of a little nervous, if you will, trying this one out. But this one surprised me. This one definitely surprised me. It is very, very finely milled. It feels silky, silky smooth, silky soft on the skin. It just completely like just, I don't know. It makes your skin just feel so soft, so smooth, and I really enjoyed the scent. So those are my thoughts on these two new Fenty Beauty products. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video review and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future product reviews, makeup tutorials, anything beauty related. And also don't forget to follow me on all of my other social media platforms where I absolutely love to interact with you all, especially on Instagram. I always say it, but yeah, I'm not really active on Snapchat anymore, so, you know, don't really follow me there because I don't really do anything on it at all. Twitter every once in a while, but Instagram, I love to interact with you all on Instagram through Insta stories, through direct messaging. I try to get back to as many of you as I can, through comments. I love interacting with you all there. So if you haven't followed me yet, make sure that you do so that we can stay connected. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.